Now watch this drive.
What's up, ballers? And let me hear you holler in the comments. Welcome back to Hoops Variety Hour. This is another segment of our Funky Flash Friday show where we only have 1 minute to answer your questions.
With your hosts, Jacob and Cole.
As always. And today, replacing our laptops, we have our handy-dandy water bottles, because hydration is important.
It's true, and summer's coming, which means kids are out of school and watching YouTube videos, which means our views are about to skyrocket.
Psych. But, as always, we'll bring out the handy-dandy wizard mug. Alright, to begin.
Wait. I think from now on, because it's gotten a little, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little awkward at this point about who starts with the Funky Flash Fridays. We've had like hours and hours of arguments about it. I think from now on we should just do 1 out of 1 rock, paper, scissors at the beginning of each episode.
Alright. On 3.
On shoot.
On shoot.
Yeah, on shoot, obviously.
Shoot.
Boom. Always switches to paper. That's some bullshit.
First question. What is the best upcoming TV show?
Best upcoming TV show? Oh. You know what? This is an anime. There's a couple animes that are coming out that I'm pretty excited about. Some sequels to some long-running shows that I've been watching for a while. The final season of Attack on Titan is coming out soon, but I'm not nearly as excited about that as I am about the second half of Season 4 of Haikyuu, which starts in July. Which I am so hyped about because they're about to play insert spoilers in the insert spoilers tournament. However, it's very, very hyped because we just had a whole season, like a 12-ish long season of like training arc where they're at their various places, they're developing certain skills, and then they kind of had this thing where the team came back together and they were like all better individually, but they kind of meshed differently and their team was worse overall. But then they built themselves back up and now they're going in for their toughest opponent yet. Oh my god, Haikyuu's so good. Everyone should watch it. Made me play volleyball. Makes everyone want to, go run a mile. That's just how it makes you feel. Next question. Ooh, wow. Ooh, now this is a spicy question. Who is the best current role player in the NBA and or the NFL?
Well, I think the NFL is really tough. Role players are really tough to define in the NFL, but I'll give my answer for the Seahawks.
Everyone in the role.
And I'll give my answer for the NBA.
Everyone in the NBA, or everyone in the NFL plays a role.
Well, yes. But for the NBA,
it's
a really tough question. I think I could go with the easy answer of Lou Will, who is the 6th man of the year almost every year. But I'm not going to go with that.
Doing my boy Jingo's dirty.
I'm going to go with Mason Plumlee.
I'm actually shocked.
Who is a dumb, wet backup center. And honestly, I think he could be starting on a lot of NBA franchises. He's quite a good role player, and he fills good minutes when Jokic is off the court, and he's an all-around good player.
Sorry. We're about to segue this into a small debate, but I feel like there's a better role player on the Nuggets.
Will Barton?
Well, I would say that Will Barton, Jeremy Grant, and their power forward. They're starting power forward.
Paul Millsap?
Yeah, all 3 of those guys are arguably better, although I think they are all arguably also not role players. It gets into that debate of like what exactly is a role player. But I feel like Paul Millsap is like one of those players who kind of like really straddles that line of being a role player versus not, where like if he is a role player, he's like clearly the best one. But if he's not, then he's like not.
I don't know. Getting in the role player is really tough, but I think Mason Plumlee as a backup also just specifically fills the role of
I like that answer.
In the minutes.
I really like that answer. Mason Plumlee does not get
power forward, center. He gets rebounds. He plays defense really well.
Really good passer.
Outside of that,
also leads the leagues in reverse dunks.
True, but outside of that, going to the Seahawks. The role players in the NFL are really hard to define, but I just want to give a shout out to one of the lower kind of backup players on the Seahawks in Rasheem Green, who is a defensive end the Seahawks have had for a couple of years now. Is kind of an overlooked draft pick. Last year, he actually put up very good numbers. And I think going forward, he's going to take on a bigger role and be a major factor in the Seahawks' potential playoff run this year. Also, I think the Seahawks have a lack of depth at defensive end right now, and Rasheem Green is going to step up and fill in as the second defensive end alongside our draft pick, Darrell Taylor.
In my opinion,
Rasheem
Green is not as good of a role player as MVP candidate DK Metcalf.
Yes. What is the best spectator sport besides basketball?
Tennis. I know a lot of people think that tennis is really boring, but I have a personal theory about spectator sports. A personal theory. And when I say personal theory, it really just means like my opinion. It's my preference.
Fair enough.
But no, I think that like in sports, specifically when you're watching, not when you're playing, because like playing, there's so many factors. This won't even matter. But when you're watching, I think the general interest level of the audience depends on how many quote-unquote possessions there are / points are scored.
Okay.
So in basketball, it's constantly back and forth. There's always like changing runs. There's always these momentum shifts that are happening. Tennis is the same way because it's possession. It's one unit of possession inside another unit of possession inside another unit of possession inside the fourth one because it goes point, game, set, match, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting because you're always working in something small for something bigger, for something bigger, for something bigger. So the interest level, as long as you, in my opinion, as long as you kind of like are on the up and up in the sport, it's always entertaining to watch no matter what point of the match you come in on. And that's why, for me, soccer is not my favorite sport because while it's definitely, especially if you know more about what's going on in soccer, it can be really technically fun to watch and cool to see what people are doing and the momentum shifts and the possession time and all that. As a casual fan, it just really seems like a bunch of guys running around with a ball and then like maybe 3 or 4 interesting things happen in an average game.
So serious hate on soccer.
Yeah, but like granted, when you guys showed me the last year's Champions League, that was one of the most ridiculous fun Champions Leagues
it was good.
I think ever. At least in my opinion. I haven't watched any other ones, but that was really fun for me as a casual fan, and usually soccer is not.
Well,
shout out to volleyball and synchronized diving.
Football has a very similar thing where there's possessions inside of the overall game where you're trying to get first down, but it's clearly curling. Moving on. Also, you should check out Cornhole. Cornhole Championships, kind of lit.
Alright. This is a user-submitted question from our boy Evil. Our favorite commenter. And he asks, who is your personal, I guess, bracket demon in tournament? So what character do you never want to play in tournament? Like if you see this character, you're always just like, I don't want to play this character against this character.
Well, my answer for this, I think a lot of people share a similar answer too. I think you might share a similar answer. It's probably going to be Palutena. Palutena is it's easy for people to pick her up, and also I feel like a lot of the time it doesn't feel good to lose to Palu, because sometimes you're playing against a guy that you're like, I feel like I'm better than this person, but this character is just carrying them to this victory, and it just does not feel good.
Actually, can I share a personal anecdote? Because my answer is also Palutena.
Go ahead.
God damn it, Palutena sucks. This happened to me, I broke the curse, because it happened to me 4 or 5 times in a row, where, I guess in a row is like, whatever, but
yeah.
I lost to this strategy 4 or 5 times in a row.
That's Palutena Pocket, or secondary.
Right, where I won game 1, like, fairly handily. And then they just switched to their secondary Palutena and they reverse 2'd me. And I was like, oh my god.
Rest in peace.
But then it was great because there was a guy and he was actually really, really good. He had a really good snake. And I beat it barely in game 1. I don't know why. I actually don't think he should have switched. But then he switched to Palutena and then I eked out game 3 because he won game 2. But I was actually that was one of the happiest I've been in tournament because I was so happy to not just get reverse 2-0 by Palutena again. No, I swear.
Moving on. Oh. What is the best JoJo's part? Actually, we were just discussing this not too long ago as well.
It's true. And actually, I'm catching up. I just started part 8. So I can't speak to how good part 8 is yet, although I think most people would agree, who have read it, that it's not probably the best one. And I can see why. It's quite different.
Yes.
But I think that basically most people who read the manga would agree that it's part 7. Because you get to part 7 and you realize that that's just sort of like, that's the sort of the confluence of all the things that Araki's really good at, and that's sort of, I think, just he knew that like he had these ideas and he knew where he wanted to take it, and he had such a good plan and everything was incorporated so well. The artwork is the best it's ever been in the series. The stands are the most like unique and interesting. The characters are incredibly well written. There's a bunch of different really interesting characters, as there always are. But the setting is so interesting. For the anime, for me, it's part 4.
All right.
I think
moving on.
It's got my favorite JoJo. It's got probably my favorite villain, and I think that really carries part 4. It has one of the.
Fair enough, dude.
It's part 4 is awesome.
Kira's sick. Moving on.
I also am a big fan of. I'm a big fan of just like the sort of like softer color palette, and there was also sort of that transition between the old art style and the newer art style. So it's a good one. Ooh, what is the best esport?
Well, if you haven't caught on by our other videos, it's Smash, clearly. However, there are a number of esports that I think are really entertaining as well.
Which Smash?
Probably Melee. Ultimate's really entertaining, but Melee is just the most high-pace, intense esport I think you're going to find.
Long history, too.
Melee has, there's a lot behind it. You can go watch a whole documentary about how the community has like done all this crazy stuff and come together and like
they just did something crazy too with
they just released a new online feature for Melee, which is better than Smash Ultimates, which is an absolute shame.
I mean, okay, it was already better than Smash Ultimate.
Now it's just an absolute shame.
Now they're running laps
around. Trash. It's trash.
It is
trash. All right. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. That wraps up our segment of Funky Flash Friday for today. Go ahead and drop us a like, comment, or subscribe if you enjoy our content. We have more stuff coming soon. Stay tuned.